Let's take a few moments now and talk about the O and the G in the idea of the way we represent our worlds. So far, we've been focusing very heavily on the V, A, and K, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. But I want you to realize that we also have olfactory, that's the O, and gustatory, that's the G. So let's take a look at those sometimes overlooked senses that we have. Actually, olfactory is a very powerful sense. When we smell something, it bypasses the hypothalamus, goes right to the deepest parts of our brain. So it's actually a very powerful sense. So when you smell something, it can take you back. And you've probably noticed this over and over again. When you smell a perfume or a cologne, it reminds you of somebody. When you smell coffee, you start to think of breakfast time. When you smell bacon and eggs, you think of breakfast time. When you smell certain things, they put you in touch with memories that are very powerful indeed. So I want you to realize that when you're working with clients, it can be just as powerful or even more powerful to involve these senses as well. In NLP, sometimes we get caught up in talking about the V, A, and K, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. But I just want you to realize that we need to pay some honor to these two senses because they are very powerful. Let's talk about the sense of taste. Some people are very tuned into their sense of taste, and especially when you're working with a weight loss client, they're going to be very tuned in to the tastes of things. And I find that what goes hand in hand with taste is often a kinesthetic person. Kinesthetic people, for whatever reason, happen to be overweight in many cases. At least that's my experience. And I believe it's because, as I've said, they really enjoy the feelings of food, the physical feeling. There's texture to it, and there's motion involved and so forth. And for them, there's also emotion involved. So a lot of times when you have a kinesthetic person, you also have a person who's very gustatory, very much into the taste of something. So when you're working with a client and getting them to associate, let's say, the two ideas of cake and something that doesn't taste very good, this is where gustatory really shines, really steps up and says, here I am, and make use of me. So gustatory comes into play strongly when working with people who are interested in losing weight. So don't overlook it. Also, when working with smokers, I want you to make sure that you're in tune with that, because smokers have although their taste buds are diminished because of smoking, unfortunately, they do have a strong relationship with taste, with whatever taste they have left over. They strongly relate to it. There's a taste going on in their mouths, a taste of the nicotine. And there's also a taste that they can associate something negative with, perhaps Brussels sprouts or broccoli or whatever they don't like, liver, I don't know. So you can create an association in their minds between these two tastes. You can set in their minds cigarettes to being equal to whatever it is they don't like, spinach, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, whatever it is that they find disgusting. For me, it's cottage cheese or raw tomatoes. Those are the things that I really don't care for, and I also don't care that I don't care for them. I don't want to like them, and that's okay. And keep that in mind too. If you try to fix everyone because you think that they want to change, they may not want to change. Sometimes we want to hold on to something, and that's okay. Sometimes we want to stay a certain way, and that's okay. And that brings up another point, which is more along the lines of an ethical point. Sometimes, like it or not, people just don't want to stop smoking. Although I served on the board of directors of the Los Angeles chapter of the American Lung Association, and I had an office in Beverly Hills where I was helping physicians with their patients who wouldn't stop smoking before surgery. They'd send them over and I'd get them to stop smoking so they could be okay with surgery, because apparently going into surgery as a smoker is a big problem, a big challenge. So even though I was doing all of that and I was so involved in helping people stop smoking, at the same time my father died of emphysema because he was a smoker. And emphysema, as you know, is one of the last diagnoses you'll ever get before the end comes. So unfortunately he passed away while I was doing all of that. Now, that raises the question, why didn't I help him? Why didn't I work with him? He didn't want to stop smoking. Believe it or not, he just didn't want to stop. So, there I was with all the power in the world to make him stop smoking, but he didn't want to stop smoking. He told me that he didn't want to use hypnosis, he didn't want to use NLP, he didn't want to use anything. He didn't want to actually stop smoking. So, forcing your will on someone, no matter what the situation, is unethical. Some people just want to do what they do, and although it's sad and it's heartbreaking and it's unfortunate, and no one knows that more powerfully than I do, it's the way it is. If you have the power to do something, it doesn't mean you have the right to do something. It doesn't mean you have the right to go in and force your help on somebody else. So keep that in mind as you progress, and also keep these two guys in mind. Keep the last two in mind. Keep olfactory and gustatory in mind, because they're going to help you save lives when people want to have their lives saved.